Josh, are we here ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And welcome everyone to the last in our Homeo Summit series of trainings for the RadarOpus software. I'm Marcy Mearns, and I'm really pleased to be bringing a presentation I'm calling, as you can see, Super Beginners. This would be for those who haven't been in the software for a while. It's brand new to you. We're going to go over some very basics. We're going to spend about an hour, and then we'll take 15 minutes at the end to address any questions you may have. And I'm so very happy to have Nakash on board here with me, who's going to be handling your questions and things in the background via chat. So again, welcome in everybody. I was really delighted to see that we have people from all over the world joining us today. So welcome in. Okay. So let's just jump right in and excuse me, one moment. Okay. Now, bear with me while I work with my PowerPoint presentation here. Okay, I've got an agenda set up, and this, no need to pay much attention to that. We're just going to dig right in. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the layout of the program. So here is my RadarOpus software. And as you can see, I've got not much going on the screen. Now, what I want us to focus on is starting in the upper left-hand corner here. You see that we've got some big icons, and we're going to only, again, this is a presentation for beginners. I like to show you things so that you can't get lost. That's the main idea. The program has so many features, and we're just going to focus on the basics, right? So we're going to work with this first icon, repertories. You'll see it's a red icon. Then we have one called references. And then we're also going to look at this one called remedies. Okay. So as I move my mouse over, and when I click on that big repertories icon, this is going to open up a window here, which we call a table of contents. Okay. Now you'll notice that in my table of contents right now, I don't see anything. I see some categories of repertories and databases. Okay, now I very purposefully am displaying this. Watch as I mouse over here where it says families of remedies, and you see that little hand? It's pointing to the little gray triangle, and when I click on that triangle, it's going to expand out to show us a large database of different family groupings for remedies. Okay, those live within this, let's call it a floor of the library, shall we? When I point to the little triangle next to concepts and expand that out by clicking, same thing, more database. Both of these, quite honestly, at the beginner level, we don't pay much attention to. What we really are focused on is this first category. And when you open your table of contents by clicking on repertories, you're probably going to get something that looks like this. Now, I want to encourage you to just sit back and watch me go. Don't try and follow along because I'm probably going to go too quickly, and we want you to capture everything. Let it all soak in. You'll have time to go back and watch this video again and other videos if you like later on. Okay, so when I click on the repertories icon, and if I click a second time, it's going to turn off that table of contents. But here I am with a display of all of the repertories and databases that are in my software. Okay, let's take the next floor of the library, if you will, this one called references. And when I click on that icon, I've got a similar display. Now, what I did for you is I actually closed all these categories down so you could just see how the information is organized in your software. Okay, we've got lots of different categories of what is called references. We've got dictionaries, clinical cases. You see, I'm just popping these back open again so you can see what's here. But I wanted you to get an idea of all of the information that is categorized in your software program. It'll tell you down in the lower left-hand corner how many documents you have. The package of software you have will determine how many actual documents you have here, as well as how many documents you have in your repertories listing. Okay, so I can change my list of documents just by flipping one of those big icons. And the third one that I said we were going to look at is this one called remedies. And when we do that, there we go. We get an alphabetical listing of all of the, in this case, looks like 8,491 remedies that are included in the program's database. That doesn't mean we have information for every single remedy, but it does mean that there is, let's call it a placeholder, as information is added to the software. That's our remedies database. Okay, great. So let me go back to my presentation and see. Yeah. So in the layout section, the first thing we're looking at are our libraries and databases. How do we open that table of contents up using those big icons? Next, okay, here we go. This is all going to be available to you as well. If you'd like to have a handout of this, I think we're going to make those available to you. So you can see the categories as we just noticed. And we're going to go to the next part of our layout, which is what I like to call browser tabs. Okay, so let's get back to the software and let's go back to our repertoire, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my repertories table of contents. And you'll notice I've got a big blank screen over here on the right. That's where our browser tabs are going to open up for the various kinds of documents that we want to use. Okay, now I have set up some favorites here for myself, and that's probably more a topic that we're going to have time for today. But if I wanted to let's say I just want to open up my synthesis repertory. That's the main repertory that I use as a classical homeopath. Synthesis, you'll notice the author, Frederick Schroyens. I can just go here at the top of that. There's a little search window here. And if I type S-Y-N, you see as I type, that list gets shorter. And here's the one I want, the current version of Synthesis Adonis. Now, watch what happens when I click on the title of the book. This is just like taking the book down off the shelf, and voila, it's opened up now on my desktop. And it's opened up in what I like to call a browser tab. You'll see here in the pale blue at the top, I've got a little repertories icon, that same icon as previously we saw over here. That indicates it's a repertories tab, as well as the name of the book. If I want to open a second repertory, I don't have to do anything more than, let's say, I'd like Boger's Synoptic Key. It just happens to be there. Click on the title. And what happens? That now I didn't open up a new browser tab, did I? I've still got that same repertories tab with Boger's Synoptic Key open. All right. Let's open a reference. Let's open a Materia Medica. How's the process? I'll go first, remember, to the big references icon. And I want to open up Boraki, for example. So just the same way we did in repertories where it says search for a reference, B-O-E. As soon as I got that much, my list came down to Boraki's Pocket Manual. Great little Materia Medica. Let's pull it down off the shelf and open it. So again, click on the title of the book and voila. Now we've got our setup here with browser tabs. Okay, so you'll notice that now over in this reading area, I've got a reference open. You can see the reference icon with the name of the book here at the top, and the book has opened. It's just as though I took my Boraki's Pocket Manual down off the shelf and opened it up to the very first page, right? Now, the browser tab idea is this. You see that I've still got, and if I move my mouse over here in the background, I've still got that repertories tab is there. This is just like on any browser. So when I mouse over here and then click, now that repertories window comes to the top. Okay, I've still got my Materia Medica or my reference open. I can mouse over here and click back. So that's what the layout of what we call the browser tab area is. And as I open more and more different kinds of information, I'm going to have more and more tabs here. And it's very easy. We're all used to this by now, how to navigate our way around a browser tab situation, right? Okay, so that in its very simplest form is the browser layout, browser tabs. We're gonna pop on and see, and the symptom clipboards, of course, okay? Let's go back to our program. And yeah, Here in the center are what we call the symptom clipboards, okay? That's where we're going to be doing our case analysis. That's where we're going to place our symptoms or our rubrics that we pull from primarily from the repertory. And we're going to be using these clipboards to take a look at our patient's case as we model the case. Now, you may or may not have as many clipboards as I do. The number of clipboards that's available depends to some degree on the level of the program that you have. And it also depends on whether or not you've decided to open up more clipboards. So for those of you that maybe have 2 or 3, or you'd like a few more clipboards, here's a little tip. You see how I can bring my mouse over to this area, the clipboards, and if I right click now, so I'm using a right or a secondary click on my mouse, and down at the so it brings up a little contextual menu, and down at the very bottom, I've got a choice. More clipboards or fewer clipboards. If I say more, it doesn't like me so much because I've already got the max, which is 12. But if I wanted, say, for example, fewer clipboards, it would just start closing some of these up. So if you want to explore that on your own, again, you point to any clipboard, use a right or secondary click, and try adding more clipboards. You may get lucky and have more if you need those. Okay?
We have a question.
Yeah, please.
How many repertories can we select and open at one time?
You know, I've never tested. I've never put the program to the test for a maximum. Okay? That would be there's your homework. Yeah, I don't know that there is a max, but we're going to take a look at how we maneuver around that in just a moment. That's a great question. Yeah, in all these years, I've never sort of tried to max the thing out. Okay, but we're going to take a look at some other aspects of this browser tab in just a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to dash through this presentation because it's how I've organized my thinking, right? So there are the symptom clipboards. Now we are on to a new segment of overview exploration. I'm calling these the universal signposts. This is, again, stuff that many of us take for granted, but I want to make sure I point these out again. So the idea being, we don't want you to get lost. Okay. So here I've taken a couple of screenshots and I really had to blow these up because it's kind of hard to see them in my software. But this is supposed to be, see this little icon here and this one? That's like the gear, like the settings thing on your phone, right? And then here's one that's a question for help. So let's look at where those might appear in your software. Let's just pop back into the software and let me show you where those things occur and what they can do for you. Let's take a look at our Materia Medica tab, for example. Here, those 2 options and help are always going to be up in the upper right-hand corner. Now, you probably do not want to mess around terribly with the settings or the options, I should say. But see, I'm mousing over it here. And when I click that, it's going to give me some choices for how I want this browser window to display. That's all I'm going to say on the subject for now. Again, I don't do a lot of messing around here, but there are some options you may want to consider. So if you're feeling brave, you can go ahead and explore settings for that window. Even in your table of contents, for example, let's go back over the table of contents window. When I click the settings, actually, this is where I got those favorite books up to the top of the list. You see, I checked that box that says display favorites at the top of the list. Okay, so there are settings throughout your program, and you'll know it by that little settings option. Now, same thing goes for the help. Let's go back to the browser tab here. When I click that little question mark, what's going to happen is I'm going to get a window on the right-hand side that's going to sort of poke me into information about this particular part of the program. When I'm done looking at it, that's our assistant. I'm just going to go ahead and click the X and get rid of it. Okay. Oh my gosh, what happened to my references contents? Notice that that large icon in the upper left is still highlighted. If I click it, it toggles on and toggles off the table of contents. Same goes for repertory. I can toggle them on and I can toggle off, if you will, my table of contents by using these buttons. If this table of contents, once I've got the books open that I want over here, this table of contents is bothering me, I can either toggle using those. In the very lower left-hand corner of your program, way down there, it says hide table of contents. Just click that button and get rid of that thing. Okay, you get a lot more reading space, right? And I can click it and show table of contents again. Okay, so our first universal signposts are those settings buttons, the little help thing. There's also help available up here at the top. If you click on help, you can open up the online RadarOpus manual. We are not going to go there right now, but that's there for your use. Let's see our next universal signpost. Oh, the hand and finger pointers. And I gave you some examples of these that you're going to find throughout the program. I like to call this the Mickey Mouse hand. Whenever you're about to make a move, whenever you're about to make a selection, particularly of a rubric, a hyperlink of some kind, take a look for that little hand because it's going to point you to where your next step is going to happen. Okay, all I need to say about that for now. You'll see those hands, and I refer to them a lot going forward. So keep your eyes peeled for the hand and finger pointers and the triangles. Now, you already saw the use of the triangles, I think, when we were over there in our table of contents. Again, these you're going to see, I just call them triangles, and they're sort of I like to think of them as when you open and close the blinds. You know, on your windows, you're going to either see something or you're not going to see something. Let's go back. I've given you some screenshots here, but let's go back over to the table of contents. I'll just click and notice, for example, you remember how I open and close just by there's the little Mickey Mouse hand, point to the triangle, and when I click, something's going to happen, right? But I can also further look, here's another triangle, and I can click that. And when I do, it actually gives me the chapter headings for my synthesis repertory. And who can imagine, let's say that I just want to go ahead and take a look at the, boy, these aren't so well labeled, are they? How about the I chapter? There's my I icon. If I click here, as you can imagine, look what happened. My program automatically flips to the repertories browser, and I am pointing now directly at the I chapter. Okay, so that's just one example of how you can use those triangles. You'll find them throughout the program. Here's another one, and this goes to the question that we just had. See this little triangle right here? You know, when I get to a triangle, when it's about to do something, I get the Mickey Mouse hand, and when I click there, this is going to give me a list of all the repertories that I already opened up. And again, I don't know how many we could get into our list, but I have seen, you know, if I've been working for days and haven't shut down my program, I can get an awful lot of references. So you see here, by clicking the triangle, I've got a list of all the repertories I've already opened up. I don't have to go back over here and mess with that table of contents at all. Same will go for the Materia Medica. Now in this tab, it's a little not adjusted the way I want it because I can't quite see. Anyway, I don't have the arrow yet. Why? Because I haven't opened up enough books. All right, let's open up another one. So I'll go back to my references, table of contents, and let's open up just something like Boger's Synoptic Key. Okay, there it is. Boom. Click the title. The book opens right to the very first page. And now I've got that little triangle here that will allow me to leaf through and flip that browser tab to any of the references that I've already opened. Let's also take a look at the chapters and how they work over here. Remember, we were able to see chapters on the repertory. If I take the little triangle here in front of Boricki's Pocket Manual and I open up something called Remedies, I've actually got an alphabetical list here now of the contents basically of that book. And if, as you can imagine, if I want to see and go directly to any one of those remedies, I can click here and it's going to open the book directly to that spot. Okay, so those are our triangles. You're going to look at those throughout your journey with the program. Don't feel shy about opening and closing. You'll find a lot of places where we can use those as a tool. Okay, I call this blue equals ready, a universal signpost. And I've given you some examples here. We're going to look at this go to. When you see that blue, it means the next thing you do, you're going to go. Kind of similar to the Mickey Mouse hand, but here's some other examples. When I'm doing a search, the word I want is highlighted in blue. When I've got my search term set up, again, we're looking for the blue, which indicates ready to go to the next thing. Okay, so we'll watch out for that. Now, I didn't know to call this a signpost or what to call this, but this is probably one of the best things about this program is that everything is hyperlinked. Okay, there are some examples. And in our next slide, I've given you even more examples. And I want to dig into this a bit. Now, these are examples of the kinds of hyperlinks that are available within the repertory. Okay? How we doing on questions, Nakash? We good? It's so nice to have somebody.
We don't have any questions yet.
Excellent. Okay. I'll take that to mean we're good. It's so nice to have help, you know? Okay, so let's go to the repertory and let's look at how things are hyperlinked. Okay. And I'm going to go to my synthesis. Now, this is bothering me over here. Okay. I'm going to hide the table of contents. Remember, lower left-hand corner, just click the button. Now I've got my repertory open. And wow, I don't have any of exactly the ones that I wanted to show you here. So I'm actually just going to quickly go to the mind chapter of my repertory. Now, see that binoculars in the upper left-hand corner? I can open up those chapter headings that we saw before. And when I click on the binoculars, that opens up that navigation window. There's my mind chapter. As you can imagine, if I click on the mind chapter, let's see what happens. Oh, it didn't take me out of this navigation window, did it? But what it does do is it gives me an alphabetical listing of every rubric in that chapter. So we're going to cover this in more detail, but what I really want to do is I want to go to the rubric. I don't know what the rubric is. My patient is lonely. Okay, I don't know what the rubric is, but what I do know is they're lonely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start typing the word I want. L-O-N. Oh, voila. You see, as I'm typing, the letters are tracked up here. And look, here comes our little hand pointing to loneliness. Okay, that's our first clue that we're getting close. And then down here, remember the blue go to? So everything is set up right now just by me typing L-O-N in the mind chapter, that if I hit the return or enter key on my keyboard now, let's see what happens. Voila. You see, the navigation window disappeared and the program dumped me straight into the repertory at a symptom called loneliness. However, what's happened? There are no remedies here, right? Because, silly me, I forgot that when the patient is lonely, the actual repertory language symptom is likely to be this one called forsaken feeling. Here's where the hyperlinking comes in. See, there's the little Mickey Mouse hand. It says see forsaken feeling. I'm going to double click and I've dropped into the actual symptom for this patient, which would be mind forsaken feeling. Here's the little hand. Now, all I'm going to do, I made a little dummy case, shall we call it? And one of the symptoms that we're going to be using in that case is this very symptom of mind forsaken feeling with 407 remedies. So let's actually, since we know we're going to want that symptom later, let's go ahead and start our case workup right now. There's the little hand. The easy way, there are many ways that you can get that symptom onto your clipboard, but the simple no fail method is to point to the symptom, press and hold the mouse key, the mouse button, if you will. Now you see how it's been picked up, and I'm going to take it over to my clipboard. When I see the green plus and I let go, that symptom has been dropped onto my clipboard. Okay, it's that simple. So what did we do? We wanted loneliness. It sent us over here to forsaken feeling, and it gave us a symptom with 407 remedies. Now, what we're really investigating still is this whole idea of hyperlinks. So let's take a look down here. After that symptom listing, I've got a list of, look at these things. You see down here in the lower right, ailments from friendship deceived. These are other possible symptoms that are related to this idea of forsaken feeling. And these are also hyperlinks. So once I get into the repertory itself, I want to take a look at these hyperlinks because it may be that there's a more appropriate symptom to characterize my patient. In this case, the one I want to use is fear forsaken of being. This is a very strong symptom for this patient. So you know what? I've looked around and I said, oh, fear of being forsaken. Let's go to that rubric. Just double click and the program dumps me right in there. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to press and hold my mouse button. And I'm going to drag. When I see the green arrow, I'm going to let go. And I've got 2 symptoms now for this case on the first clipboard for my patient. Okay, so far so good. So you see, those are our hyperlinks, these last 2 examples that I've given you in the repertoire itself. We're going to look at some of this other hyperlinking as we go through the rest of the presentation. Now, you may or may not have noticed that I'm able to scroll around my program pretty easily. How is that possible? Because I'm using what I call scroll with arrows on my keyboard. So take a look at your keyboard, and in the lower right-hand corner, whether you have a Macintosh or you have a PC, you're going to have those up and down arrows. You're going to see in a moment why we want to use those, but this is just make note, okay? Scrolling with arrows. Why do I say that? Because these books are big. This is a big book. When you have the actual paper book and pull it down off the shelf, if you try and just scroll with that little scroll bar in your browser tab, you're going to have trouble. So those up and down arrow keys are absolutely essential. And at the end of today's presentation, I'm going to give you, and again, this will be in the handout if you'd like to get that, a layout of your important keys on the keyboard. There are lots of important keys on the keyboard. I've tried to keep it very minimal, but this is one. Okay. So the other universal signpost, and we've already done this once. You remember when I right-clicked on one of my clipboards and it gave me a little menu? You're going to find that there are what I call right-click or secondary click menus all over the place. If you don't have a right-click or a secondary click on your mouse of your computer or of your trackpad, if you have, you know, a little, like on my Mac, I have a trackpad and I just have it set up for secondary click. And that allows me to bring up these contextual menus in many, many places in the program. So you'll want to make note of that and get your right clicks set up if you don't already have that. Okay. And oh, I think that's it for our universal signposts. Very good. We're going to go on to the next major topic here, which is the remedy information window. We are actually going to dig in now a little bit. Okay, so let's go back to the program. There we go. Got a couple symptoms on our clipboard. Remember, I said we're going to look in the upper left-hand corner at 3 of these big icons. The third one we haven't looked too much at is this one called remedies. And again, that brings up this remedies database. Now, this is how would I say it? This database is home turf for opening up another important browser tab where we can get remedy information. Okay, so we're going to put into practice now several of the things that we just looked at with our universal signposts. First of all, I've got my table of contents open with the remedies database. And here at the top, see, it says look for remedies. Now, I like to use pulsatilla for an example. We all want to know about pulsatilla, right? So I'm going to dig now through my database. And when I do that, I'll start typing in the search field, P-U-L-S. Okay, I haven't finished typing the name of the remedy I want, but already you'll notice that the list of possibilities has really narrowed down, hasn't it? But if I don't know any better, I don't know which one of these pulsatillas I want, right? Okay, here's your number 1 pro tip. Choose the one that corresponds with the most common abbreviation. Let's take a look at the list. Remember, highlighted in blue, P-U-L-S period. Isn't that how we usually abbreviate pulsatilla? And so if I don't know which version of a remedy I want out of this database, I'm just going to go ahead and type the abbreviation exactly as I know it, PULS, period. There's the remedy, highlighted in blue, ready to go. And so when I click on that, let's see what happens. Voila. Okay, get rid of that contents thing. Now I've got a new tab open, a new browser tab. Notice at the top, just as in all of our other browser tabs, it uses the same icon structure showing us this is your remedy information window. Here's the name of the remedy. And there's our pulsatilla. Okay, now there's so much that we can do from this remedy information window. But before we explore that, I want to go back and show you a couple of other ways that we can open up this remedy information. Okay, just to highlight our hyperlinking. Okay, let me dip back into the repertory for a moment. See, I just move over to the repertories tab, dip back in, and everything is hyperlinked here. Notice I'm going to look at this rubric here, Mind Full of Fear with 18 remedies. There's aconite. Now notice the little Mickey Mouse hand comes up when I mouse over the remedy. If I double click on aconite, let's see what happens. Voila. Immediately I get a remedy information window. I didn't have to go through that table of contents step, if you will. Any place in the program, if I double click on the abbreviation for the remedy, it's going to come up in my remedy information window. Further, over on the far right, there's the little triangle, so I can flip through the various remedies that I've already opened for investigation. Okay, now this is a heavy-duty browser tab because not only does it name the remedy up here in the upper right-hand corner, it's got additional tabs. So if you notice down here, starting on the left, the first tab, and this is the one that's selected, is called Quick Reference. That's where this, let's call it keynote information, if you will. You see down here toward the bottom, it says mind, forsaken feeling, blah, blah, blah. There's my little hand. Now, how am I going to scroll in this window? I'll tell you how I'm going to scroll using my arrow keys. So with a down arrow, notice as I down arrow with each step, the information begins to scroll. Now, the way I have this thing set up for some reason, and I'm a little hesitant, I don't see that scrolling option on the right-hand side. It's there, and I could try and scroll that way if I like. Again, I'm just showing you the pro way to do this, which is just to use your up and down arrow keys. And I've got quick keynotes for the remedy pulsatilla right here. Where do those come from? They come from Archibald's keynotes. This is a compilation of reliable keynotes from a variety of authors that's been put together by the Radar development team over years. So these are very reliable. Not every remedy is going to have them, but let's take a look at, for example, our aconite. Without a doubt, we've got keynotes for the remedy aconite. You see, I just flipped into there, and now if I want to scroll down and read this, great, there we go. Now, what other options do I have in the remedy information window? Well, on the advanced topics tip, we have a tab here called families. I'm not encouraging you to dig into here, but what I'm just going to poke at it, and I'm going to say, here we have triangles again, related remedies, aconite related to various remedies. Okay, you can explore in this. We're not going to go into it because this is beginner information. But if you just want a selection of photos, for example, there's a multimedia tab. I want to go back to my keynotes, however. So here where it says quick reference, let me just pop that back. Okay. Remedy information window. Now, here are tons of icons where you can do Google searches and all other kind of stuff. Don't usually utilize that function. That's just me. But what you can do from here, and this is absolutely, this is our first dipping a toe in the water on doing some searching into the broader libraries that we have available. Because really what we've done here is we've just brought up some keynotes for the remedy, right? But let's focus for just a minute in the upper left-hand corner of this window. And as I mouse over, there's my magnifying glass. I should have put that in the universal signs. And there's some text here. It says, search for this remedy in, there's our triangle. Click the triangle, and I'm going to choose from this list, I'm going to search for this remedy in all open repertories. Now, you can search wherever you like. I usually would search all documents, but I don't want to do that because it's going to take a while. We've got a lot of information for aconite. So let's just do a search. All open repertories. And when I click one more time, voila. What just happened? Okay, let's take a look here at our browser tabs. Here's my remedy information tab over here for aconite. Remember, we were just looking at that. There's my references tab. There's my repertories, but here's one now called search. So let's look at that. This is actually, let's call it, technically speaking, the results of your search. And remember what we told it to do? We were right in here and all we said is search for this remedy in all open repertories. I had a couple of repertories open, right? I had, let's see what I had. Boger's Synoptic Key, and I had Synthesis Adonis open. So let's go back and let's see what we've got. We searched for the remedy aconite, and over here on the left, this is where the listing for those open repertories and every rubric, every symptom that has the remedy aconite is going to be listed here. So this first set that I'm looking at is, here's the little text. I searched for the remedy aconite in Boger's Synoptic Key. Pardon me. And these are all of the symptoms that come up. Now, remember we said everything is hyperlinked? If I want to actually now dip into the repertory, this says time, evening aggravates, aconite. Okay, look, aconite at midnight. That's a great symptom. I want to see that within the repertory. I want to see what the other remedies are. Well, one way I can see the other remedies is there's a little plus here. And if I open that up, I can see them. But you know what I really want to do? There's the Mickey Mouse hand. Let's go into the repertory. Just double click the symptom. And what happened? Drops me straight into Boger's Synoptic Key, time, night, midnight, and there's my remedy aconite. Okay? So when I do my search, I'm going to get a list for that book, in this case, a repertory of every symptom. This is what we call an extraction, every symptom that has the remedy aconite. If I want to see in synthesis, for example, I've got to go back over to this contents, look at Schroyen's, and there are all of my symptoms for aconite. If I want to dip in and look at those in some detail within the repertory, where does aconite stand compared to other remedies? Again, I'll just double click the rubric and it's going to drop me straight into the repertory. So you see how I'm moving around the tabs. I started over here. I set up a search. Let's do a really quick. Let's look at Lycopodium. Let's search for this remedy in all open references, for example. Okay. And what happened? Remember, we started over here. We did our search. Here's the results of search tab now. We search for Lycopodium in references, and the first reference then is going to be Borke's Pocket Manual of Materia Medica. Now, what the program does is it takes line by line by line from that book, and it breaks them down as though they were a symptom. See the little hand? And I'm up and down arrowing as I read through these. If I say, wow, I just want to read that directly in the book, so it's not broken down line by line, I'll just double click and I'm in my book now. So I went just by double click on the symptom, it dumped me from the search results into the actual book. And now I can just browse through. Okay. If I want to see the results, that was in Borke. What if I want to see the Boger symptom list? I'll click on over here in the contents, Boger. There is my list of Lycopodium symptoms. Okay, you getting the idea here? I hope so. So all we've done is we've started by getting a remedy information window. We looked at the keynotes. We decided we want to go a little further with making up a simple search. And there are our results. Okay, so play around with that. You can't get lost. And, you know, this search thing, if this is bothering you, you're all done with that. You'll notice there's no, how would I say it? I don't have the triangle here so I can go back and review previous searches. I just get an X if I want to get rid of that tab altogether. Okay. Memory clear. Very good. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Let's see where we are because we got only about 15 minutes left for me to get through the info. And I know some of you are chomping at the bit, right? How do we do this case analysis, right? Okay, repertory, navigate by typing. We already did this. There's the example of loneliness. Good. Don't have to do that for right now. But let's review anyway. This is helpful. This is most helpful and most useful if you actually know where you're trying to go. If you don't know where the symptom is, as I did not, remember I searched for loneliness and eventually I got directed where I needed to go, which was forsaken feeling. But if you don't know where you need to go, sometimes the search that we're going to look at in just a moment will be a better option. But again, let's bring up oh, here, I want to look at synthesis. Let's close that contents thing. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm currently looking at, there's my little hand. I'm sitting at mind ailments from anger. If I want to bring up that, remember the navigation window, I do have this noted on our handout. I'm going to use the function F3 key. And if I'm lucky, there we go. It opens up that navigation window right where the little hand was. Escape will close that window. See the little hand? It's pointing to mind ailments from anger. When I use the function F3 key, my navigation window opens up right here. And you'll notice that the symptom is here, the parent symptom, and then I've got all the subrubrics too. But let's say what I actually want, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's F3 it again. Ailments from anger. From here, if I wanted to search to something different, let's say, for example, this patient is thirsty for cold water. Okay, I'm starting to work up on my case right now. From this navigation window, I'm sitting in the mind chapter. I'll just use my backspace or my delete key. The first backspace takes me to mind ailments from. The next backspace takes me back to mind. If I do one more backspace, I'm going to get to my chapter headings again. I happen to know that that thirst is in the stomach. So I'm just going to start S-T-O. There's my stomach highlighted. This is in blue, so I'm going to hit enter. Stomach, and the symptom I want is thirst. As soon as I got thirst, the little hand is pointing where I want to go, so I'm going to hit enter. And I want thirst for cold water. That would be the subrubric. So C-O-L-D. Oh, thirst for cold. Now, well, I'm going to hit the enter key, and it's going to give me a couple choices. At this point, I'm just going to hit enter one more time and dump directly into the repertory. This is the symptom I want. Stomach thirst for cold water, right? The hand is pointing there. I'm just going to use my little down arrow. There's the one I want. Let me grab it and let me stick it someplace. I'm actually going to stick it on my number 3 clipboard because that's my patient. Okay. And furthermore, just so that I can model the case the way I practice it, my patient actually wants cold water at short intervals. How did I get there? I used my little down arrow. So I'm going to take that one too and put that. There's my thirsty as a generality, if you will, in this case. There's that clipboard right there. Okay.
I'm asking, we have 2 questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is from Frank. He's asking, can you search for where aconite is in bold or stronger?
Yes, we can do that. And I will show you that setting. Okay. In just a moment.
The second one is from Nancy. And she's asking, can you repeat how to select favorites from repertories? I don't see it in the settings.
Yeah, it's not in the settings. And you know what, Nancy? Let's learn together, Nancy. I'm going to leave that for when we when our last 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Of talk. So it's the top of the hour right now. It's so funny. I see these like thumbs like drifting across my screen. You guys are so on it with the Zoom. I guess that means like thumbs up, right? It's the top of the hour. I'm going to take 15 more minutes to do like the formal presentation stuff. We'll catch Frank in there somewhere, and then Nancy will take time in our last 15 minutes till the half hour to see if we can together figure out that favorites thing. Okay, because I just got mine set up the other day. Great question. Okay. Oh, what are we doing? We are navigating around using the hierarchical or the navigation window. Let's try doing the same thing. We did it here in the repertory. Let's try doing it in one of our Materia Medica. Okay, so let's go to the Materia Medica or the References tab. And lo and behold, I've got binoculars up here in the upper left-hand corner. Okay, binoculars, remember that's what's going to open that window. And let us say, remember we looked at how you could access the remedies, remedy by remedy? Well, we can do it here as well. So I've got my navigation window open. Now, this is where I tell you just put your mouse down. We're going to do it all by typing. This is the fastest way. You want to be a speedy repertorizer and, you know, speedy user. This is how to do it. Get rid of the mouse from here. I'm going to start typing R. Wow, I didn't have to do anything, did I? I typed the letter R. Look, it jumped right to remedies. Let me backspace so you can see that again. When I backspace, see, here's the letter I typed, R. When I use the backspace or delete key, it erases that. So as soon as I type remedies, R for remedies, the hand is pointing to remedies. My green light or my blue light is on, so I'm going to hit enter. Now here are the remedies, and we want to look for, let's look for pulsatilla, P-U-A. There's pulsatilla, hand pointing to pulsatilla, hit enter, and I'm right there to pulsatilla. If I want to now dump into the book, remember down here it says go to, I'll just hit enter one more time, and I'm in the book, pocket manual, at the beginning of the section. Yeah, this is the previous remedy. See, up here, this is going to tell us where we are. I'm in remedies, Pullix, okay? That's a flea. I want to go down to pulsatilla. Okay, just like I took the book down now, and I'm just reading it right out of the book. Okay, how did I do that again? I just open up my navigation window. Now I can use the binoculars. Remember, I also said we could try that function F3 key. Let's see what happens when we do that. Opens the window to right where we are, right where the hand is pointing. See, the hand is pointing head, frontal, down here in the lower left. When I hit F3, opens it right there. Oh, that's not what I want. I'll backspace, backspace. There's my list of remedies. I want calcarea, C-A-L-C. Oh, calcarea carbonica. That looks good. Enter, enter, and I dump right in. Okay, so that navigate by typing works both in the repertory as well as in our references or Materia Medica. And again, you kind of got to know where you're going, but if you know where you're going, that's the way to get around. Okay. Now, if you don't, we have what I call a simple word search. I do not normally teach this, but because we're doing beginner today, we're going to go ahead and work with the simple word search. If you want to take it just to the very next step, join one of my upcoming presentations, take a look at some of the recorded videos you have so that you can learn to use the advanced search, which in my book is another one of the top features of the program. I just don't want to complicate things today because we've got short time. So simple word search. Let's go back to the program. And you see here, right in the middle of the top menu bar, if you will, there's a slot. Next to the slot, it says search. Search, and mine happens to say search in English. We're just going to stick with English today. All right. I want to search for the word laugh. Now, I happen to have this display open to Borky, right? I'm looking at my references tab, but let's explore together what happens when I want to do a simple search for the word laugh, L-A-U-G-H. Oh, get a list of variations on laugh. The one I want is that one in blue. When I hit the enter or return key, oh, remember our search? There's that search tab. And here's the results of search. In Boger synoptic key, laughing, laughter. So in other words, variations on the root word laugh come up here. In Schroyen's, there are 389 symptoms that have either laugh or a variation of the word laughing. Now, from here, this window remembered my last setting. Do you remember that I had set this up to search in open repertories only? If I want to search in all documents, I'm going to choose that here. And now, whoa, that's what I'm talking about. My program has now searched in all the repertories, all the databases. I'm going to click these close, all the materia medica for the word laugh. And if I want to look at, for example, Alan's primer of materia medica, you see over here, there's every reference having to do with laughing. Okay. I started up here with a simple search. Let's try another word. Now that I've changed my setting here to search in all documents, let's try lumbar, Lumbar. Our patient, you remember, has got, well, you don't remember, but he's got lower back pain. Okay, so I'm going to go lumbar. Lumbar is highlighted. That's the word I want. So enter one more time to do the search. And now I got a much broader search. Why? Because this quick search up here is going to remember whatever setting I had from last time. So I want to go to my synthesis Adonis repertory. Here's every symptom having to do with lumbar anything, right? And just for expediency, I want to say that, well, we're not going to go ahead and pick that symptom just now. Okay, we're going to leave that for another time. But that's your quick search. You'll notice again, when you use that quick search, it's going to pick up whatever your setting was here in terms of where to search. We also have an option. Here's something that, yeah, this favorites is fantastic because look, down here at the bottom, I could say search in all favorites. Now, it quickly reset my search to search for the word lumbar just in those books that I've designated as my favorites. Kind of cool, huh? So you can use this. You get your search window here, and a single search will automatically pop up based on, and it will have searched wherever you have this set, okay? For those who are interested in the advanced search mode, over on the right-hand side of this tab, see right now I've set with just one magnifying glass, okay? There's another magnifying glass next to it that's with an extra gem included, okay? When I click the extra gem, it actually opens up multiple search fields. So here I could set up, for example, I wanted to search in this first field, lumbar, and say I want the lumbars. Now, notice, I typed in the word. Let me back up. Let me do that again. Let me clear it out. Here's the eraser. I'm going to clear that search. Search words in English, Lumbar. There's the word I want. It's in blue, so I'll hit enter. And enter one more time. Now I'm set. I'm set because remember I said look for the blue. Everything's ready, set, go. But let's just look at that. Only with the remedy aconite, for example. So here I'm in the remedy search, ACON. Remember I said use the period, whoops, ACON for a quick, so I don't have to scroll down here. Remember, pro tip, type the period. There's the aconite that I want, enter, enter. Now, this one's set, everything's in blue. This one's set, everything's in blue. Let's search in all favorites. I'll launch the search. Et voila. Now I've searched for the lumbar symptoms in the remedy aconite in all of my favorites. So in Schroyen's, things are looking better. Okay. How's that? That's your advanced search. There's so much you can do here. When you're finished with that search, you're done. Let's say, ooh, I like that symptom, kind of, sort of. Let's just throw that on here for discussion's sake, shall we? Back to the results of the search. Remember, I want to go up and down this list. I can just up and down with my up and down arrow keys, and I'm going to be able to scroll through all of the results of that search. When I'm done looking at it, I'll use my eraser, double click the eraser and start over. Okay. That's all we're going to do on the advanced search right now. And let's just see. So we looked at simple word search. That's that field up at the top. Okay, play with that. See if you can find the things that you don't know where they are located. Now, at last, here's the part we've all been waiting for, right? The analysis. So let's get in. We're going to take like 3-4 minutes in the analysis screen right now. And I took a screenshot. This was sort of an earlier iteration of this same case. Let's go ahead and have a look. So notice I actually decided to put my symptoms on 3 different clipboards, didn't I? Okay. How am I going to be able to display this analysis? Well, one of my favorite shortcut keys is the shortcut function F8. But there's also a big button up here at the top that says analysis, you see? And that should be an arrow saying show current analysis with symptoms and repertories and remedies. See? Function F8. Just drill function F8 into your head or use that selector. And there's my analysis. I'm going to hide the table of contents, lower left-hand side. This is our case. Okay? How about that? Now, what everybody wants to know is, well, what's the remedy here? Okay, let's dig in a little bit and see if we can figure out how to interpret this order of remedies, what these numbers mean, right? So first thing you want to do is take a look at what kind of an analysis strategy am I using? Because the computer is not so very smart, okay? The computer is only going to do what you tell it to do with these symptoms, and it's going to organize them based on what you tell it. So take a look down here. You see at the bottom of my screen, oh, I should have pointed out, this is the analysis tab now. So browser tab open, analysis. You can see in the upper right down here, this is telling me I've got sum of symptoms sorted by degrees. That's the strategy that's being used. I can select the strategy, upper left, right here. See, it says change the analysis strategy. I encourage you to just stick with this one when you're starting, because you'll see the logic in just a moment. So the first set of numbers is just for your reference. You see, it's just the order of things. Now, sum of symptoms, that's the second line here. What do we mean? Arsenicum, it's got a number 4, sum of symptoms. Well, let's take a look. Arsenicum covers 4 of the symptoms that we chose, right? Antimonium tartaricum, same thing, covers 4 symptoms. Hyoscyamus, sanicula, all of them cover 4. Now, pulsatilla, for some reason, only has a 3 for sum of symptoms. Why? Because there are only 3 symptoms. Aconite also has a 3. So this information is organized, as you'll see here, based on how many symptoms. That's sum of symptoms. And then the second set, the second sort, if you will, is degrees. Now, what do we mean by degrees? Well, let's go take a look at the repertory, and let's take a look at this rubric right here, mind, forsaken, feeling. Remember how everything's hyperlinked? Okay, arsenicum, it says 2. Pulsatilla, it says 3. Let's go have a look. Double click. Voila. We're in the repertory. And arsenicum, where are you? Here's arsenicum. It's in italics. That's a grade 2. That's where the 2 comes from. Pulsatilla, over here on the right-hand side of my screen, is in all bold. That's a grade 3. I'm going to go back to my analysis just by clicking that browser tab. So you can see that pulsatilla got a score of 3, arsenicum got a score of 2. All they've done to get this third and final listing, which is sorted by degrees, is to add these numbers up, okay? Arsenicum is higher, if you will, in the order of things. With this strategy, it comes before antimonium tartaricum. Why? Because ant-tart, when you add the numbers up, only gets a 6, and so on and so forth. Now, does this tell us that arsenicum is the remedy? Not really. This might be a pulsatilla case. There might be some other factor influencing the patient that would make us say at the end of the day, wow, I've got to give pulsatilla, even though these rather small rubrics don't cover pulsatilla. If I wanted to be sure about that, what I might do, and I'm gonna go against my own guideline here. I'm gonna go to the search. I'm gonna put in thirst, enter, enter, and I'm gonna put in my remedy, pulsatilla, period, enter, enter. And I'm gonna search in my favorites, and I'm gonna see what I can come up with about the thirst of pulsatilla. Because if I'm thinking pulsatilla, even though my analysis doesn't quite show what I'd like it to show, I've gone into search and I've brought up some information for further study. Now, to get to Frank's question, okay, about can I search only for the bold? See this little blue dot? Here's remedy pulsatilla. When you're setting these up for the remedy search, if you'll click, that's actually an arrow. If you will click, I can ask it to search in all degrees. That's the default. Or let's get rid of the first 2 degrees and let's just take bold and bold underline. Okay, so you see I just unchecked a couple boxes, did the search. Okay, I said, okay. Now my options for pulsatilla, I've changed them a little bit because I only want the grades 3 and 4. Let's do the search again. Oh, see what I got? Okay, Frank, hopefully that answers your question. Now, that's the simplest explanation that I can give you for your strategy. Let's look at one other strategy just to see how things do change. And again, I would stick with this strategy at the beginning, but let's try changing it to something called small remedies. You'll see a huge contrast. Oh, these numbers no longer make sense. When you get out of the main strategies, I can't tell you about the numbers, but what I can tell you is Senicula, aqua senicula, is it what we would consider a small remedy, but it does rather well in this analysis, doesn't it? So that's why by setting the strategy up, let's say we gave the arsenicum, didn't do so much, and then we said, wow, maybe I need to look for a small remedy that's related, what have you. You could try a different setting. Okay, now with that, the last thing I'm going to show you, and I'm afraid we have to skip a couple of my favorite bits here. Symptom juggling. We're going to have to skip the symptom juggling for now. But I want to go to case saving and recall, okay? Because this you've got to do. You did all that work. You got the patient up here. You've got these symptoms. Got to have things in order. You see this bobblehead icon up here that says patients? Just pretend it doesn't exist for now, okay? As you're getting started, the easiest and simplest way to do this, save the case, is as follows. I'm going to point to any clipboard and right click. Remember, the right or secondary click, we've seen this one before. It's where we added the clipboards. I'm going to choose Save Analysis. And when I do, the window that opens up, the choice I want is the floppy disk. We're going to go old-fashioned. And here's how I name my analysis. You can do a variation on this if you like, but I'll tell you this has been working for me for the last many, many years. I'll put patients first, last, okay, their name. I'm going to put the date, 5/26/24, and any note I want to put, like pulsatilla or aconite, maybe arsenicum, question mark, okay? So I've got my patient's name, I've got the date of the thing, and I've got some notes because I can search those later. Here it's blue down at the bottom, save. Voila, my case is saved. Okay, gotta hurry. A new patient is coming. Let me right click. Let me clear all the clipboards. See this choice? Everything's gone. Clipboards are clear. There's nothing more to be done. My day is over. I come back tomorrow. Oh, I want to look at that patient again. I'm going to right click, and this time I'm going to choose recall analysis. I'm going to recall from a folder. That's that floppy again. Remember, I wrote here, search for any part of the analysis. What did I write? Pulse. Okay, see, as soon as I start typing, my list gets shorter, or maybe I just want to put today's date, 5/26. Let's get rid of the pulse part. 5/26, first, last, 5/26. That's the case. highlight in blue, double click, and voila, everything's back. Okay, I ran over what I promised I was going to do. Oh, first, last, remedy, and note. So this is all summarized for you in our handout. Save to a folder, recall tells you how to do that. Here are those essential keys that I invite you to investigate. On a PC, they're a little bit different. We didn't do the multi-toggle. I'm so kind of sad. You know, Nakash, maybe we can set up a follow-up to today's presentation, like beginners part 2. I'd love to do that if people would like to come on board. Okay, and it's our right-click menus. That's that. You know our website. That's how you found us, RadarOpus.us for all of North America. This is me, chicohomeopathy.com. I do private one-on-ones, both in using the software as well as supervision and so on and so forth. So you can find me there if you're interested. Nakash, I'm all yours. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, we didn't do the favorites. Shall I do that really quickly?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to go to my list of repertories. I'm going to bring up the table of contents for the repertories, and where it says search for a repertoire, I'm going to get rid of that. Back. There we go. Here's my list of repertories. Let's say that I would like Clark's clinical repertory to be part of my favorites. Now I'm learning with you. I'm going to right click. It's so simple. Add this title to my favorites. It's been added to my favorites. And look, it automatically popped up here to the top now. Why? Because my setting, remember the settings said display favorites at the top of the list. Wow, that was so easy, right? That's what I love about this program. It's not rocket science, people. You can all do it. Let's try setting a reference. Let's say we would like, you know, Alan's Primer of Materia Medica. Right click, whoop, add this title to my favorites. Voila, it's now one of my favorites list. That was easy. Okay, guys, Nakash, I'm all yours.
Yes, we have one more question. It's about, can you do simple word search with more than one word?
Oh, beautiful. Oh, you guys, a simple word search. Yeah, but I'm not going to encourage you to do that. What I'm going to encourage you to do now, people, now that you've sat through the presentation, is I want you to bring up your search window. Remember, I can choose between the simple over here on the right with one magnifying glass, or I can get the jeweled magnifying glass, which is our advanced search. Let's clear it out. Use the pink eraser. So, I actually would prefer you to do the multi-word search from here, okay? So I'm just going to, this is a great question. And again, something that I would go into in much more detail at another time. I'm going to put in here, for example, though, let's put in thirst, enter, enter. Oh, you can do the enter twice, so you get all those blue check marks. And then let's put cold, enter, enter. Okay, let's run the search in all favorites. And we're going to actually do an experiment here. So thirst and cold. See at the top of this search situation where it says search words in English? I want to point out to you that I actually have some options there. I can search at least one of these words. Let's start with all words in the same paragraph. That's the default setting. Okay, and here's what I got. Down at the bottom of my results here, it says 54 hits, okay? By searching that way, all words in the same paragraph, I got 54 results. Are you with me? What if I decide to do at least one of these words? And now launch the search again. Oh, whoa, that's overwhelming, right? And not so useful. 92 hits, 9,200 and something. Let's go back to our all words in the same paragraph, but let's do this. Instead of the cold, you know what? I'm going to get rid of that. Watch this. See the X? And let's put here thirst cold. Let's put them both together on the same line. That would be as though you type them at the top. Let's see what happens. I only got 12 hits. Oh, okay. you see the difference between putting the two words together or putting them on different lines. So to be honest with you, that's why I said I didn't want you to do that. Put the thirst here, that's one word. Put the cold here, that's your second word. And then let's say aggravates, for example, because you might search for, didn't like that because I put didn't like the period. Now, watch this. Search all words in the same paragraph. Okay, very good. Let's do it. Oh, I only got 6 hits. I intelligently said to myself, whoa, I didn't search very well, did I? You know what? Let me uncheck the box. So I didn't take the word away. I just unchecked the box. Now watch. Oh, I'm back to my 54 hits. What if I then said, no, I don't care about the thirst. I just want cold aggravates. Look, I uncheck the thirst box. I have cold aggravates. I do my search. Oh, okay. You see where I'm going? Now I got 1,700 hits. This is why this is such a powerful, powerful search. Okay. And I hope we've made our point here. How we doing, Nakash? I got 3 minutes. More questions?
We don't have any more questions.
Oh, wow. Okay. You guys want to see something else then with our analysis? Shall we? Yeah, let's look at one more piece of analysis. I've got like 3 minutes. So I'm going to go back to my analysis. Here's the tab at the top. It's now, notice that tab has now been named the name of my case. That's that case we worked up. Okay, let's get rid of that table of contents. Now, this is what I want to focus on here is I created 3 different clipboards and I just so happen to have labeled these. How did I do that? If I point to the clipboard, you see this first one, it says mentals. If I right click here, there's a thing that says change clipboard name. I don't recommend you do this, but I did it for demonstration purposes. Then I've got my main complaint, which was the back pain. And then I've got what I was calling the generals. This is, a very weak case at best, but it was to make a point. Now, I might decide that I've got too many symptoms that mean the same thing here. And I might actually want to combine these two into one single rubric. How am I going to do that? This is where our, what I call the toggle key comes in. Let's go back up to those. Yes, the multi-toggle. Okay. On your PC keyboard, I believe it's the window thing. And on your Mac, it's going to be the command key right next to the keyboard. Okay. So if I want to select multiple symptoms from this list here, in fact, multiple anything, I'm going to press and hold that multi-toggle command key in this case, and I'm going to select with my mouse. Just select both of those. Okay. I can unselect them by just clicking again, always with my finger on that key. Okay. Now that I've selected those two though, pointing to them still, I'm going to right click and let's say I want to group or combine them. Okay. And the first thing that comes up is the one you want. Pay no attention to this down here command, combine. Just say add them to a group with all remedies, choose the first letter that comes up and continue. It didn't change very much, did it? Because this is a small rubric, but what's happened here, remember we said that we had 4 symptoms? Oh, did we have 4 or 5? Anyway, these 2 are now being considered as though they were one symptom. Oh yeah, because look over here at pulsatilla, for example. Pulsatilla now says it's only got 2 symptoms. Why? Because these are considered together as one, and this is the other one. As does phosphorus, just 2 symptoms. Whereas before, I'm going to right click and ungroup the rubrics. Remember, pulsatilla had 3. Okay, so you can combine rubrics if you like. I like to do it in the combining way. No, I'm sorry, not the combining, but the grouping way. Again, when they group, you're going to get whatever letter you select in front of those to indicate that they've been grouped. Okay, I can select them, I can ungroup them, and they don't disappear. That's why I like to do that. I could also say to myself, look, I just want to look at the mind symptoms and the generals. I don't care about this. You see, I'm pointing over here to the clipboards. I don't care about the back symptom right now. So if I press and hold that multi-toggle key, which is my command key, I can now display just these two. Or I could say, I don't want the mind symptoms. I've got my finger on that key. I'll turn that one off, and I just want the main complaint with the generals. This is the advantage of using multiple clipboards. I want to turn all three of them on. There we go. There they go. Okay, that's your last little bonus info. So I want to really thank everybody for showing up, for all the good work that you're doing in the world. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, Nakash, take it away.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi.
Yeah, hello everyone. We also have a session scheduled for 29th, and you can register for it at our website.
May I say what that session on the 29th is going to be?
Yes,
It would be great. Okay. What I do in those, I call those learning from the masters or some such. I go into the historical literature, I find a great case, and we break it down into bits and we work through it and we do the analysis and utilize all of the tools that we've just looked at. Okay. And hopefully we will get a similar result to whoever that master homeopath was from the past. So that's going to be, as Nakash said, on the 29th. And I would love to see any and all of you there. And I believe that recording will be posted afterward if people can't make the live session. But do come to the live session because we take questions just like we did here. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was great to see you all. And again, wishing you really, really all the very best in your work.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.